Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL's College Football Gambling Locks Week 2. It was a rough week for most of us, except for Alex down there sitting 5-2. That's because he doesn't bet anything. Look at him. Only betting 7 games.
Square.
It's like, wow, you just picked the winners. Oh, boo you.
I got more wins than you got picks, kid.
That is
the same amount, I guess.
That is true. Hold up.
What about the units? What about the units? I'm up.
My units are twice as much, so I'm actually up. I don't know how that math works, but
no one's units compared to Chase's though, so
that's true.
Pointless argument.
First of all, we don't unit shame. I'm just saying.
That's true.
No.
On a basis of positive versus negative.
All right, this is gonna be a long one.
Jake's gonna pull some shit out of his ass where he's up somehow. Or I only do this on these. I only bet double my unit on the ones that I win.
True.
He's just putting on a brave face for you guys.
I'm just going to hit a random parlay at midnight and then cover my loss.
Hey, I have something to say about the parlay. I feel like, obviously, if you lose a parlay, you're lost. But if you win like a 5, 6, 7, 8 leg parlay, is that just one win? It feels like it should count.
No. Like if you were doing like units, like you put one unit on an 8-legger parlay, you would take whatever the odds, and that would be like 30. It would be like 100.
Well, then we should be up units and not necessarily.
Yeah, but I didn't. But we don't necessarily discuss. For this,
I don't do parlays.
For the purpose we show, every unit is just one unit because like
the only time I ever. I'm just going wins and losses. I don't care. Nobody cares.
Yeah. No one really gives a shit. They just want to hear us break down the games and they want to hear Larson stuff.
I only place parlays with my back just against the wall, and I'm like, I got to clear my account balance. Like, here we go.
Do y'all have? Yeah, that's exactly what I did. Do y'all have any on the Thursday night games? Indiana State, Indiana. That's not even happening.
That's Friday. Murray State, Louisville is tonight. I don't have that one either.
All right. What about Kansas, Illinois?
It'd be Illinois or pass for me on that one. But
Wake Forest or Vandy, a little 11 a.m. start.
Yep. 11 a.m. East Coast start is nasty, by the way. I got Wake Forest -10. I'm hedging out of my Vandy win total. They look awful. I think Wake Forest.
But they're 2-0.
Yeah, well, they're not getting to 4.
It's been a bad.
They're not getting.
I don't know. I think they got Florida in the bag.
I guess we'll see, but I don't know. Hey, maybe I can double dip here because I do think Wake can beat them by 10.
I think Wake can definitely beat them by 10. I also have a buddy that plays for Wake, so go.
Shout out to him. Tell him to cover.
Virginia Tech -2.5 against Purdue. Jesus, Virginia Tech's favorite in the game against like a Power 5 school.
Yeah, they're at home. That's why.
Enter Sandman, baby. Penn State, that's off. We got off. Colorado, Nebraska, -3, the most bet on game in NCAA football history.
Dude, when a team is getting more money than all 32 NFL teams after Vegas just lost big on them last week, something there should be alarms going off in your head. And the thing is, Colorado has bucked some trends this year, certainly safe to say. But I feel like this is going to be a Vegas gets their lick back spot. They might even win, but they'll win by like 1 or 2. The thing is, too, you talk about how much money's on that game. That line has not moved a centimeter.
Not at all. Yeah.
All right. Well, I know.
I like Nebraska.
I took Nebraska just out of principle. I took Nebraska. Like,
I want Colorado to win, but I'm just, I'm a Buffalo. Business. I'm full Buffalo. Yeah, that's good business.
I know that's principle, but like every year there's a few teams that just like Vegas thinks they know more about, and they cover like every game because like they keep giving these ratty lines. And I think Colorado's that team. Colorado is going to win this game by double digits. Vegas is going to have to catch up and just accept that they were wrong about them from the start.
But what about – my thing is, like, why would this be Nebraska? Why would you make this the spot? I feel like they would pick USC. Like, I just don't –
Let me also just maybe put something out there that, yes, Colorado is good. They're exciting. Maybe TCU's just trash. They lost a lot.
TCU defense is bad.
About Sonny Dykes in the offseason, and I kind of went away from it. But maybe Sonny Dykes ain't it. The TCU has maybe not that good of a roster.
I'm not discrediting Colorado, but I do agree with what Alex is saying. I think it might just be TCU.
I think all that's true, but then you just look at Nebraska, and I don't care.
Yeah. Nebraska played a much more physical football team last week. They struggled on offense. Like Jeff Sims had his moments where he looked really bad.
They should have won.
But they're going to get some more time to breathe playing Colorado because the defense is not going to be.
They're also going to run the ball, and they're going to limit possessions. Like I've seen all the reasons for Nebraska. I'm just saying, this is a heart bet, guys. I want the Buffs I want the Buffs to roll out some wins.
I want the Buffs to win. I do, but
if I bet Nebraska, it's early Sunday morning or Saturday morning.
Georgia, Ball State.
Can you even see that line?
We'll win.
42.5. Oh, I guess it's off now, but 42. Whatever. If you want to take it, you can take it.
Waste of time.
Wow.
Baylor and Utah. That's a weird
I
one.
like Baylor.
Big time stay away game for me.
Yeah, I see everybody is all over Utah, and it was that national game. They embarrassed Florida, but honestly, I think it was more Florida is just a dog shit ran program. Like, I don't know what is going on in Gainesville. They have fallen off. I do not believe in Billy Napier, at least right now. He's got to show me something. That was the worst coached game I have ever seen. Poor execution, poor game planning. There was no fire. There was nothing. It was 0, 0, 0 all across the board. I don't think Utah is that good. Listen, you're right, Chase. You were right. I'll admit. But Baylor just came out and got upset. They are going to be up for this game. Dave Aranda isn't one of those guys who just lays back and let his team, motivate themselves. He's a rah-rah guy. He's good. He's a great defensive mind. I like Baylor +8. I see it here.
Does Baylor's quarterback being out worry you at all?
Yeah, Blake Shapen. I was going to say both quarterbacks out. I'd consider the under.
You know what? I actually just have this rule that I don't bet on teams that just lost by 20 to Texas State.
It's a profitable strategy, honestly.
I'll just stay away from that. It does sound like a sucky trap game, but Baylor was so bad last week. NC State, Notre Dame, another trap line.
Rat line.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Wolfpack here.
Let's go with the Wolfpack. I like the Wolfpack a lot.
I like Notre Dame, but I feel like they're getting a lot of hype for like beating Navy and Tennessee State. And I can tell you from experience, NC State, kind of a difficult place to play, especially at noon.
They've won 16 of their last 17 games at home. They've beaten Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, Miami. They've beaten good teams there. And historically, they're a good defense, and they've historically done really well against Sam Hartman. They can scheme for him really well. So,
I can tell you this right now. I have several family members in the Raleigh area, and they get up for the Wolfpack. They love the Wolfpack.
Wolfpack.
Yeah.
Wolfpack.
I think it's a sneaky spot for sure.
I'm going to stay away.
Virginia and JMU laying almost a touchdown against the Cavaliers.
They were laying a touchdown, and this line has moved, and the public is weirdly all over Virginia. I have JMU -7. I might back off that, but I do have the under 40.
I'll tell you what, Virginia looked like one of the worst teams in the country last week.
They are.
They are.
Astute observation. They suck.
I'm
quarterback's name is Tony Muskett. That's the worst quarterback name I've ever heard in my life.
He's questionable for this
game.
He's
got a gun for a last name.
Yeah, it's a musket. It takes like 10 minutes to fucking shoot. We got AR-15 and Tony Muskett. Terrible
Kansas State and Troy. I got one here. Troy +17.
Yeah, that's a good bet. Be careful. I'm not going to bet it, but Kansas State has Missouri next week, and they're prone to getting upset early in the year before big games. So, yeah, be careful.
Troy's sneaky. They could be that Power 5 team. They could be the Power 5 team that comes out, especially if Tulane loses to Ole Miss this week.
G5,
and they win this game. I guess we can go straight to that because all these other ones are off. Tulane and Ole Miss. Ole Miss, about
is this a
7.5
game?
3:30 game. Yep.
Okay. I'm just making sure I didn't miss
on
anything.
ESPN2. Disrespectful.
I took a teaser where I bought Ole Miss down to money line, but I'm not comfortable with it. Besides that, I think Larson got them at a lower number, but I think
I took 5.5. I think this is. I know the public's all over Ole Miss. I rarely do this. I just think I watched the entire Tulane game last week because I had big money on South Alabama. Tulane won convincingly, and it looks really nice on a box score and stuff. South Alabama had 5 interceptions. That's the only reason Tulane got up as much as they did. The South Alabama offense moved the ball really well. Now you play Ole Miss, who has an offense that's twice as good as South Alabama was. And if they don't turn it over 5 times, I think they'll run through Tulane pretty easily. And I know that they beat Mercer. They beat an FCS team, whatever, 73-7. Like Mercer's at least like a good FCS team. That doesn't mean anything, but it just – I love Ole Miss here. I think they're going to go and
I said this last week about Ole Miss. Like Ole Miss is fantastic at the beginning of the season. They're fantastic against teams that aren't as physical at them. If you can match their physicality in the trenches, that's Lane Kiffin's and that's been the way that Lane Kiffin's been at pretty much everywhere he's been, but especially at Ole Miss.
I agree. I think it's a good point.
I think I'm going to buy Ole Miss. Thanks, boys.
There you go.
I think
Miami and Texas A&M only a 3.5-point favorite here for the Aggies. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah, I think it's a little ratty. It's not like Miami has some kind of home field advantage.
No.
I didn't watch that first A&M game, so maybe you guys can elaborate on this. Texas A&M should run those boys off the field. I believe in what Mario Cristobal could potentially build in Miami, but today, pound for pound, on paper, the Aggies should boat race them. I mean, they are far more talented. I don't care what they have at the quarterback position. In the trenches, they are as talented as any team in the country. And I don't see how this is even a one-score game. I mean, maybe Jimbo is still calling the plays. Correct me. Did anybody see A&M the first week?
I watched A&M. They looked fantastic for the first half. They had a little bit of a lull, and then they covered at the end.
I mean, I'm not going to bet this game because I hate Jimbo Fisher. I hate the Aggies. Like Chase just said, inconsistent. You don't know what you're getting on a daily basis. But they should boat race.
I don't know what you get out of either of these teams. That's why I don't.
I do think Texas A&M should win this game handily, but I'm
handedly.
It just seems ratty and
a weird line. Yeah,
it is.
Syracuse and Western Michigan.
Me and Larson have Syracuse.
Yeah, I love the Cuse here. I got -21. I would bet it at -23.
I got him at 23. Now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be
It's 24 right now, but yeah, you could always buy it down.
I'd probably still take it too. I think that Syracuse should run through them. Western Michigan is a huge defensive rebuild. They lost their top 7 tacklers. They lost basically everyone who's important to them. And their one strength, if you want to call it a strength, is that they can run the ball a little bit. And Syracuse can stop the run really well. They only gave up less than 2 yards per carry last week against Colgate. I know it was Colgate, but
not a football school.
Not a football school. They don't allow big plays. They can stop the run, and they're going to be at home. They'll control
Carrier Dome, baby.
It's going to be a blowout. I think.
Love that place. That place is magical.
I hate the camera angle, the ESPN low angle. It's ugly.
It does suck.
But yeah, I'm riding with Larson on here with Syracuse. Syracuse is another team too. I feel like they get a lot of big wins early in this. Like Maryland's in that basket too. Like a lot of big wins early in the year.
I got one here. UTSA -14 against Texas State.
Yep, I'm on UTSA. I got it at -12.
Yeah. I have it at -14 right now.
If there's one thing about TJ Finley, after a big win, he'll fail. He'll fall right on his face. We saw it at LSU. We saw it at Auburn. So I think that's a good bet.
I'm going to try to save some of the UTSA game last week for a later pick, but they played well enough to win in that game. And if Frank Harris, who is a really good quarterback, a really good veteran quarterback, if he doesn't play his worst game of probably his career, it was horrible, then they win the game. I mean, they played about as bad as they could on offense, and they were still down 3. They threw 3 interceptions. They played really well. They're a much better team than last week. Don't be bogged down by that loss. And Texas State.
No, I like that they lost.
I was looking to bet UTSA. I didn't even know they played Texas State. It makes it even sweeter that you can fade Texas State, who, by the way, was getting diced up by Shapen for Baylor before he got hurt. So it's like I think Frank Harris comes back, he's back to normal, and they will win handily. I think so.
Yeah, I like UTSA a lot in that game. Miami of Ohio and UMass. Ooh, game of the week: Iowa and Iowa State.
Under.
I mean, low
What's the
unders.
total?
If it's like 36.5, if you like low unders, have at it.
God, that's so low.
It's disgusting.
I don't want to watch the game, so I'm not.
Sickos, yeah.
UTEP and Northwestern.
I'm taking the under in this one, under 40. I've watched UTEP. I've actually watched both of these teams this year. UTEP's offense is pretty pedestrian. Their defense isn't awful. It seems like a pretty average group. They got a couple stops against Rutgers for the most part. Their offense is one of the worst in Power 5. They run like middle school plays.
And UTEP is favored by a little bit. The last time UTEP beat a Power 5 team,
it was like 1950.
JFK had just gotten assassinated. So
yeah, it's been a long time.
Were you there?
Two terrible teams. Under at 40. Just give me the under. That's simple
Michigan
math.
and UNLV.
I have the under in this game too. It's at 58. Why is this game at under 58?
That is a little high.
That doesn't make
I'll
sense.
say this. This has something to do with Michigan. Chase was right once again. Michigan is for real, and the only reason I'm saying that is because J.J. McCarthy is making Sunday throws. And I know it was against
did
terrible
anyone say
competition.
Michigan was not for real?
I did. I'm saying I'm going back on it that I thought that Michigan, J.J. McCarthy was going to hold them back, and he is not. He's taking that kind of Stetson Bennett leap where, like, Stetson Bennett won his first national championship, and then that second one he was a playmaker. So I do think that Michigan Wolverines are one to watch this year. I won't say this week.
I love them.
Anyways, did you know Barry Odom's coaching UNLV, by the way?
I did know that. Very random.
UNLV is not going to score on Michigan. Michigan's not scoring 58. That's just my analysis. 58 is just a weird number. It honestly makes me
they would
nervous.
have. You'd think they'd have to score 50 for them because UNLV scores more than 10, right?
49-7 is a realistic.
49-10 maybe.
Unless Jim Harbaugh just comes out with some weird hate.
He's still suspended.
Technically, yeah.
It's just one game, I thought.
No,
I think it was 3 because they said they were switching coaches for all 3 of the games.
4 or 3. It's definitely.
I thought he self-imposed a 1-game ban. Okay, anyway,
he self-imposed a 3-game, which is
all right. Anyways, whatever. I don't think 58 points get scored in this game. That's my under.
Marshall and ECU.
I don't have anything on that.
Look out for ECU there. It's a close one for me.
Isn't that? I just remember because I've seen the movie. Isn't that who they played like right before the plane crash in We Are Marshall? Didn't they play ECU? Wasn't that the game?
I think you're right.
Don't ask me why. I just remembered that. But anyway,
Arkansas and Kent State.
Can't read, can't write, Kent
What's
State.
Washington's a wagon.
Yeah.
34.5. Is that what you have?
That's what I have, but I'm not going to bet that. But
who do they play?
Tulsa.
Oh.
Not many people have ever been to the Tulsa area, but they love Tulsa around those parts. It's crazy. They love them. Not that that's going to help them in this game.
They travel well.
Fun fact. Yeah, well, I don't know about that. They travel to Tulsa.
A bunch of the Tulsa people are headed to Washington to watch their team.
Yeah.
They'd be so out of shape over there in Washington.
UNC and App State.
I don't think any of these research triangle teams want to. I don't think UNC is in the research triangle, but I just like saying that. I don't think any of them really want to tangle with App State like ever. And if you remember correctly, I think this game featured 124 points last year, which makes me want to take the over. But these are very different teams, so I will stay away from this one. But App State, like I wouldn't want to tangle with them as any Power 5 school, good, bad, regardless.
Got a couple friends that went to App State, and they get up for these games. Like Jake is saying, any Carolina, it could be north, south, it doesn't matter. App State gets up for these games. North Carolina's coming off. Listen, I know they blew South Carolina game wasn't even close, but it was still an emotional game for them. I love App State plus 18.5. That's a lot of points. And Drake May's that dude, but I like App State.
It's got
I like this bet a lot coming up. I like SMU against Oklahoma plus 16.
I think Larson, were you just hedging?
I bet Oklahoma minus 13 on Sunday, and then I hedged and took SMU plus 16. So it's kind of – I thought the line would keep rising, and it didn't. So I don't know. It's a good game. That's a sneaky good game for ESPN Plus, too. I don't know why that's not on TV.
I like Oklahoma, and I'm not trying to, beat down on SMU by any means. But I'm just higher on Oklahoma than a lot of other people. They have a great offense. They had a really high-scoring offense last year. The defense sucked last year, and maybe this is the time that Venables comes out and be like, this is what this defense can do. So I'm not going to bet it. I'm not going to bet it, but I think that Oklahoma is – listen, they're not going to go to the playoff, and they're not going to make a New Year's Six bowl, but they're certainly not going to fire Venables like Chase was saying at the beginning of the year.
Wait until they lose straight up to SMU.
Right.
I'll eat crow next week.
Listen, I can't take anyone seriously. It's the same thing with Oregon. Like, I'm not going to take anyone seriously winning 81-0 or 73-0. The other teams literally obviously either didn't want to be there, didn't play, has no talent. Like, you don't beat anyone that bad that literally has a pulse. Like, I'm sorry. And I watched that game. Trust me. I had Arkansas State in a parlay. Liberty, New Mexico State.
Say it.
Nah.
Say it. Liberty. All right. I'm going to Publix all over Liberty. New Mexico State, this line is moving down. and I'm still going to bet Liberty because they're my team.
All right.
Minus 10.5. I didn't bet them last week, and I regretted it. That's usually how you lose money, chasing that dragon. Ohio and FAU.
It might be Ohio for me. I will not decide till Saturday. They're getting their quarterback back. And I bet this game last year and won, so I'm going to do it again. I probably will take Ohio. Probably.
I see that it's 85% of the public, and it opened at 5 and is at 3.5. Is that right?
That is correct.
Wow. Ohio.
The Bobs. Could be a look.
The Bobs.
Old Dominion and the Raging Cajuns.
I feel like there's a joke in there somewhere, but I'm too
UAB and Georgia Southern.
I got the Eads.
I was about to say, you going to lay down some for the boys?
Larson, you got a better read on this than I do, but Georgia Southern did look good last week against the Citadel. I mean, triple option team, but I think Trent Dilfer's in a little over his head.
Yeah, Dilfer, man, is I don't think he knows what he's doing. They played a big run team last week. UAB did, and so did Georgia Southern. They played the Citadel, and so now they're going to play Georgia Southern, who wants to throw it around. And Dilfer said at his press conference, he was like, "Yeah, we were trying to watch some Georgia Southern film to get ready for their defense, but it was pretty useless. So we're kind of don't really, we're just having to spitball it." And Georgia Southern, I think, is a good team. UAB lost a lot of talent. A lot of the guys don't even like playing for Dilfer, I don't think. And based on the line movement, I would imagine Georgia Southern is the right play. So it's a total shift from week 1 to week 2 and who UAB's playing. So
this is
also
totally
hilarious thing to say, but UAB also does play Georgia next week, and you got to wonder if their players are kind of thinking about that instead. It's a look ahead spot, I guess, but
I guess.
Yeah,
I thought you were in North Texas.
Fuck North Texas.
Both these teams have
could not tackle anyone.
One can't tackle and one can't complete a pass. A very stoppable force against an extremely movable object. Both these teams can kiss my ass.
Cincinnati and Pittsburgh.
It's the AFC North game of the week.
Anybody? Nope. Houston and Rice.
Rice.
This pick.
The fighting JT Daniels. Rice.
I love Rice. Here's my
JT Daniels is.
He stinks, dude. He's been in college for a decade.
So have you.
All right, I'm going with Rice too.
This is a great one because Houston, the second Houston won that fraudulent game against UTSA, I was looking to fade them. They did not win the game. UTSA lost the game. UTSA threw 3 interceptions, like I mentioned earlier. All of them were basically at Houston territory where UTSA was about to score. UTSA had more penalties. They ran the same amount of plays, and UTSA outgained Houston by over 100 yards. UTSA dominated the box score. They're so lucky. Houston's so lucky that they won that game. Houston also plays TCU next week. That's a look ahead.
Wait, Houston plays 3 Texas schools in a row. That's crazy.
We're in the Big 12 now.
Yes.
That's crazy.
And Rice, I mean, they played Texas last week, so, it is what it is. But there were moments where Rice actually looked somewhat good, where I was like,
they were playing well downfield. Like, their downfield coverage was
They also got pressure on Uber several times.
They did, and it was a close first half game. Like, I think Rice, I'm not saying Rice is good, but Houston, man, is a fraud. Houston's fraudulent, and this
shouldn't be 10 points.
Is such an overreaction.
I'll tell you what, Texas kicker, he was a boss in that Rice game.
Bert Auburn?
Not that it mattered, but he was banging them in there from like 40, 50 plus, like regularly.
They need another Dicker. I used to just love when Gus Johnson would say Dicker the kicker.
I think Rice can win this game too. I think Rice is live to win.
Boise and UCF.
I took Boise money line. Home game. Me and Larson both agree we have a little action against Boise State. But they're under on their win total. This is a nice little hedge spot. I do think they can win too. I think UCF is good. But by no means, like, this is a coin flip game. Boise State's at home. Yeah,
long trip for UCF. Boise run defense last week was not too bad, and UCF's going to run it a lot with their quarterback and with their running back and
John Rice Plumlee.
All right, guys. One of the games of the week: Texas Tech and Oregon, and we got to get back on. Are we getting back on the Texas Tech bandwagon?
Guns up.
I'm getting on them.
I told you guys last week that was not the week to lay the points on Texas Tech, and of course Wyoming comes out and wins outright. So.
That's why I win. That's why I win.
We called it perfectly. Close game, possible loss to Wyoming. You turn around and you bet them the next week, and that place is going to be.
Now, why are they only a 7-point favorite? Because they're at Lubbock at night, and that's where
big time. Vegas has taken all this Oregon money. They're comfortable getting the Oregon money and having Texas Tech to cover. So great spot here. Alex, why don't you go ahead and just explain yourself?
Listen, I think that Bo Nix has really improved since we saw Kirby Smart continuously beat him down when he was at Auburn. He's making Sunday throws, and again, Chase is going to hate it because it's against D3, a bunch of B's out there. But you can only beat who's in front of you. And Dan Lanning's legit. He recruits well. He's a great defensive mind. I know the Red Raiders. Everything you guys said makes sense. But I'm just going to go with the Ducks.
I think you can make the argument that Texas Tech is the more physical team and at home. I mean,
they can score. They'll be able to score with Oregon.
As we've talked about on the show too, like Wyoming is not bad this year.
Yeah.
No. I mean, clearly they had some athletes.
If you're betting Texas Tech, I would make sure you buy it to 7 though. I mean, that's
but the fact that like the public is so heavily on Oregon and it went down a full point below 7 is like.
Yeah,
I'm definitely taking the 7. I'm definitely going to buy it up.
I'm confused. I see it open at 3.5, and it's all the way up to 6.5.
3.5 was like the preseason
from
line.
Spring. Okay,
no, it like technically opened like I think at 8. I saw an 8 originally.
Okay,
Georgia State and UConn at Turner Field.
I want to take UConn here. I don't know why they're an underdog, but this one's weird. I'm staying away. This doesn't make any sense. Georgia State's struggled with Rhode Island last week, and UConn was kind of giving NC State all they want. I don't know why Georgia State would be favored here, but I'm not touching it.
UConn stinks.
Arkansas State and Memphis. Geez, Arkansas State, you poor boys.
Hey, I'm gonna take I'm gonna take Memphis in this one. I think Arkansas State's a team that is very close to giving up. They are dead.
Butch Jones was crying.
Dead man walking. Butch Jones.
That was weird.
Yeah,
like that's weird.
What's
I'm
crazy?
kind of high on Memphis.
Is this line's dropped 3 points, even though public is heavy on Memphis?
I think I'm just super high on Memphis. I don't see any resistance from Arkansas State at all.
If I saw my head coach crying, I would be like, what the fuck is this guy's problem? You're supposed to be our leader and you're crying? I'd quit.
Butch Jones is sad.
I'd quit.
Sad Butch.
Yeah, look at where he at. He's fallen from Jesus Lord.
What a fall from grace.
Nobody could ever succeed at Tennessee. Coastal Carolina and Jacksonville State.
Oof. Talk about a matchup of the higher.
Is our guy still there? McCall? Is that his name?
Yeah.
No, dude.
Yeah.
You're talking about Jared Guest.
That's
our guy. McCall's the starter.
McCall's still there.
McCall is still there though.
Jared Guest could still be the backup. We don't know.
So we're rooting for an injury.
Yeah, he's a red shirt. He's a red shirt senior. He's still there.
I remember he got in a few times and we were like, yo, Jared Guest is in the game.
He's in the game. He's thrown for 18 yards this year.
Dude.
Hey.
Shout out to him. Anyways.
He's a official Sports Talk ATL athlete. If you're watching out there and you're an athlete anywhere, hit me up. I'll get you some merch. Mizzou and Middle Tennessee State.
Weird line. Another weird line. Isn't this like 20 points?
21.
I see 20.5. Yeah.
Mizzou's good though.
Exactly. So why would they be 20-point favorites over Middle Tennessee?
I was about to say I do like Mizzou. Mizzou is good.
Game of the week: Alabama and Texas. Alabama -7.
I would be inclined to take Alabama if you're going to force me to take anybody. I think this one could get ugly. However, my pick for this game is under 28 for the first half. I feel like we're going to see a lot of Texas offensive struggles. I feel like Alabama's going to try to run the ball a little bit. If they get 10 possessions, if they get 4 touchdowns, it's a push. I'll take the under.
That's a good bet. Jay said it earlier. I mean, Rice got pressure on Texas. What do you think Bama's going to do with behemoths up front? I really think Bama rolls. I have switched my tone for sure. I was all over Texas, and then everybody started it was like the LSU FSU stuff where it was like, all right, too many people are picking LSU now. I'm going away from the same thing. I do think Texas is good. They're an ascending program, but like, are we sure they're still, in the trenches going to be able to take it to Bama? I mean, listen, Bama's still got a good offensive line, and their defensive line is good as ever. They're cranking out defensive line talent, NFL talent. I think Bama rolls.
Think about how many teams just over the last decade have beaten a top 5 team on the road. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. I mean, you're talking about LSU beat Bama. Michigan's done it to Ohio State, but like you cannot find a lot of examples where there's a true road game and they go out there and beat a top 3 team. Just doesn't happen. I don't know if we've seen enough from Texas to say that. I think Alabama wins this game. They might not cover, but I would feel confident, very confident. And if you wanted to put up any kind of money line or anything like that, maybe buy it down to 6.5 if you want to bet the line. I was
just typing that out. Yeah, I'm going to buy it down to 6.5.
But I think Texas is going to have a tough time winning this game.
I couldn't agree.
Backdoor covers are always in play, though. So Minnesota,
they've got the skill guys, though. Hang on, right back. They've got the skill guys to compete with anybody, but that's not what. Like Bama's playing a different style of football now. Like they are trying to run it down your throat with Jalen Milrose. The guy's a super athlete. I just don't think. I think it could be like a 10-point game. Like I really do. Bama is. I think Bama gets up. They're up.
It's a big
losers gonna be bumping.
I think just playing. I just think I know what that atmosphere is going to be like.
It's going to be awesome.
And dude, I don't think Tuscaloosa has had an atmosphere like that in quite some time.
What they're about to have. LSU game.
I don't even think they had it for that because I was at that.
They didn't think they could lose that.
Yeah,
game.
They didn't think they could lose. They thought they were unbeatable. It was loud. Don't get me wrong, but it was not what it's going to be like on Saturday night where everyone's been discounting them. You finally have. I always say. Teams fan bases have to face adversity. Or like you'll see it with Georgia. Like if they win 3 more national championships, those games are all of a sudden going to become a little bit more boring. Like it's going to be like, like no one can beat us. But I think Alabama's got that hunger and as a fan base, and hopefully their team shows that because I would like to see Alabama win that game. Yeah, Minnesota and Eastern Michigan.
This is another weird one though. I mean, 20.5. Weird. Anyways.
Mississippi State versus Arizona.
2, I think, kind of similar programs. I think Arizona's kind of on the up. I like Jaden DeLora. I like that 5-star quarterback they got. I don't remember his name, but this is just a weird game to me. If you made me pick, I'd probably take Mississippi State, but I wouldn't be surprised no matter what happened with this one.
I think Arizona keeps it close. I'm not betting it, but that's a public versus Sharps game by the look of it, by the what's on paper. So.
Unfortunately, guys, we do not have a line for LSU versus Grambling. Really missed that one.
Listen,
I don't know. I was looking to take Grambling.
Nobody outside of those 2 fan bases care, but I promise that environment is going to be sweet. I mean, Grambling, LSU, Louis, everybody's going to be that. That'll be a really fun game to go to. First home game of the year. Nobody cares. We're going to stomp them.
Yeah, it might be LSU's only win of the season.
The Grambling band at halftime is going to be insane.
Sick. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Maryland and Charlotte. Okay, my mom went to Maryland. Wisconsin and Washington State.
Another weird game.
-6. Wow.
It's in Pullman, I think.
Is anyone going to be watching this game?
No. Sounds awful.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, you're going to have the Alabama-Texas game on.
And even the Oregon game. I mean,
I think even fans of this game that are real fans will be having the Alabama-Texas game on their phones.
And it'll have the volume. They'll have the volume on Alabama.
Oh, yeah. Well, there'll probably only be 7,000 fans in there. So, there will be no problem getting internet connection. You'll be able to stream completely fine. Let's see. Oh, wow. McNeese State and Florida, no line. I'm going to just go ahead and take McNeese State money line.
What's the point? It's McNeese State +8.
McNeese State, I think.
If McNeese is 34 points or closer, I might take him.
Cody Orgeron, Coach O's son. He's a coach there. They got that fire.
They might upset Florida. Now? He was the quarterback.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
He was the quarterback, and now he's a coach.
All right, well, maybe he can become LSU's next coach next year after we fire Kelly. Temple and Rutgers.
Hey, I could not feel any better right now about my Rutgers over 3.5 wins.
Yeah, I just took it off pure gut. I was like, Greg Schiano's not going to let those boys go 3-9. I was like, Rutgers is winning at least 4.
And this is a sneaky spot. They do need to be careful here because Temple looked really bad last week, and Rutgers looked good. It's just a classic flip. And this was a 2-point game when they played last year. Those rosters aren't that different from last year that makes me think Rutgers should be laying like almost 10. So I would take Temple. It's a sneaky one.
I want to max bet on Rutgers last week. I think I've got enough Rutgers wins under my belt, so I'll leave.
We're fine. We're fine.
I love Schiano. God, I love that guy. Everyone shits on Rutgers in terms of the Big Ten. If you're not in the Big Ten, you just love Schiano. But they shit on Rutgers and Schiano.
I think it's because it's in New Jersey and it's a piece of shit.
Yeah, everybody shits on New Jersey.
Future LSU coach Greg Schiano.
No,
Deion
that's
Sanders.
Sanders. San Diego State and UCLA.
Fun game. Not going to watch it. If it was on at 11:30, I'd watch it, but I think it's on at 7, so I won't be watching.
I really want to bet UCLA. I might bet UCLA Saturday morning or maybe even Saturday afternoon. They looked really good last week. Did y'all watch them last week where
Against Coastal?
They were playing Dante Moore and they were playing Garbers, and basically Garbers just sucked, and they kept putting in Dante Moore, and like he would just 50-yard touchdown every time he got in. Coastal also could not run the ball at all. They had 50 rushing yards last week, and San Diego State, who should be 0-2, is going to want to run the ball. I think this could be a bloodbath because San Diego State is bad.
So this is just kind of random. I kept hearing them talk about Garbers last week, and I was like, why do I know that name? And I was like, did this kid like commit to Georgia at some point? I forgot he had a brother that played quarterback at Cal, and I was getting confused. Chase Garbers.
Yeah,
FSU and Southern Miss.
So
Southern Miss
I have no
is
reason
not
to
good.
bet this at all, but I'm just going to go out and just hop on the Florida State bandwagon and say, they're a lot better than we're even giving them credit for now. A lot of people after that LSU-FSU game didn't give credit to FSU. They just said that LSU sucked. And listen, that is true. I mean, we blew it. We shot ourselves in the foot time and time and time again. Well, Florida State's the real deal. They've got 2 or 3 guys who are going to be first-round picks on that defense. And that receiving core, I mean, is there a guy under 6'6" in that receiving core? And Jordan Travis had a lot of great plays. So, 30.5, I'll take it.
I think
very interesting.
Could win it all this year for sure.
Very interesting 2 weeks. Florida State at Clemson. I feel like the public is going to be drowning Florida State in dollar bills, and I'll have to see what that spread is. I think now it's only 3.
What that spread is too, because I'm interested.
I
will say that Clemson is a tough place to play, and
it is.
You've got to imagine they will be fired up after what happened against Duke. But I still don't know. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that line come out and it was like FSU -10. I just think
I think it's going to be a wrap. I think it'll be like 7 at the most, and people will be like, "Oh, Florida State only by a touchdown," and they're going to put their life savings on it, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think
I'm excited for that game.
It's also setting up for a really gross spot next week where Florida State plays
at Boston College. Yeah, I saw that.
And I have to take Boston College,
even though they look like complete.
Even though they were awful.
Oh, we could just see Florida State put Dabo in his coffin, beat him by 30, and be like,
this is going to be a great late nighter. This is going to be a great late nighter to recover if you bet on Bama and they don't cover. Auburn and Cal.
I think you missed one.
Where?
Did we talk about Air Force Sam Houston State?
Nice.
No.
We missed that one.
He beat me to it.
What do you got? You guys are missing that.
Fuck
you guys
the
are
armed forces.
That's true.
But thank you for serving. Their football teams just stink.
That's why I have the under in this game.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Sam Houston State lost to BYU. I got it at 37.5, low unders. Sam Houston State played BYU last week, and they lost 14-0. BYU is not exactly a juggernaut this year. Air Force triple option team. That tells me this is going to be a low-scoring game. And I also took Air Force -14. I think Air Force by the way, for some reason, the public is infatuated with Sam Houston State this week.
Yeah.
It's like 97% Sam Houston State to come 14 points.
You ever seen that Sam Houston statue?
I don't know. Well,
I'd be infatuated with him too.
I just I thought this was a weird game, and I'm going to make this, me and Larson talked about it. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So I'm going with Air Force, and I am taking the under. I have logic behind the under. I'm just fading the public on.
I sprinkled a little bit on Air Force -14, and I think the public is bringing it down because it was at 13.5 this morning.
Yeah.
Air Force I was shocked to find this out. They had the #1 defense nationally last year, which I did not know. And they returned a ton of starters and a ton of seniors. Like, their defense is significantly better than BYU. And Sam Houston ran for 38 total yards last week against BYU. I don't know how Sam Houston is going to move the ball on Air Force.
This could be like a
24-0 possessions.
Yeah, 24-0 game. Hit the under in that 14. That'll be Perfect end of my Saturday.
I love that you guys are up here analyzing Sam Houston and Air Force.
Well, you don't get this anywhere else, buddy.
No, you
It just
don't.
doesn't make any sense why they're.
That's why you're tuned in on literally the 40th minute of this show.
Yeah,
You do not
You
get that
stay
anywhere
tuned.
else.
you're a real one.
Let's go. All right, now Auburn and Cal.
I have a teaser on this and basically bought Auburn down the money line. I don't feel great about it. I know a lot of smart people that like Cal, but I don't have a smart brain, and I don't care what you say. Cal is not beating Auburn. That just does not. That doesn't. 2 + 2 = 7 when you try to say that in my brain. Cal is not beating Auburn. I just refuse to believe it. If they do, I can't really say I'm going to be surprised, but like I just can't accept that. I teased them with Ole Miss and basically got Auburn and Ole Miss money line on a teaser.
I'm staying away with that, but I will watch that game. I think.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Hugh Freeze.
That'll be my late night kick up and just kind of enjoy.
I think I have to wave the white flag on Cal if they really compete in this game, because their under 5 wins was one of my biggest win total bets, and I mean their running back is good, and their backup quarterback last week looked really nice. Like if they compete in this game, and I think that they can keep it close, that's a bad look for my win total. So
yeah, I mean Cal coming into this year, like everything said that they were not going to be a good football team. Not returning a lot of production. Didn't really do anything in the portal. Tough schedule. And
how does the perception of Auburn change if they go and lose this game?
I'll tell you what's exactly going to happen. Every single Auburn fan on the planet's go, well, Kirby lost to Vanderbilt in his first year, because that's all anybody knows.
Listen, let's not act like Auburn.
By the way, hang on. No, hang on. By the way, before you start that, I was making fun of Clemson for losing to Duke last week, and some guy said, well, Kirby lost to Vanderbilt. I was like, well, yeah, dickhead. Dabo's in like his 12th year at Clemson. That's not the same thing. Anyways, stupid comment. Stupidest thing I heard all weekend.
I do think that losing to Vandy in your first year versus losing to Cal in your first year might be a little comparable, but I do think the state of the programs matter. And Auburn's, I mean, they were.
I'm just telling you what they're going to say. I'm not saying that.
Sure, they're idiots, but let's just, let's give them some grace. I just want Hugh Freeze to work out, so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. If they lose this game, it's not going to change my tone whatsoever.
No, it doesn't matter. I would say the outlook for this season probably dampens a little bit.
What was their win total? Wasn't it like 5.5?
Yeah, Auburn fans are kind of feeling themselves so far this year. I think I took Auburn's win total. But anyways.
All right, time for my favorite segment of the week, USC over 71.
USC over, yeah.
I don't care what it is. It's like Iowa unders. Just give me them.
Stanford also moved the ball a lot better than I thought they would against Hawaii.
That was a
Stanford has the highest
bonfire.
Fun fact, Larson fact for you. Stanford has the highest rate of placing 4- and 5-star recruits in the NFL in the entire country. It's because they get so few.
Because they're all tight ends.
Well, I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, dude.
So
I guess Davis Mills is technically in the NFL.
Oklahoma State and Arizona State, last game on the board.
Who?
I was going to say Hawaii moved the ball against Stanford pretty easily. Don't let that score fool you. So I can only imagine what USC is going to do to them.
It's going to be like 66-7. That still covers. All right, I got one last question before we wrap the show, because this spread is off. But anyone know where Albany is?
The one in New York?
It's got to be the New York one, right?
Okay. Oh, yeah.
It's literally the capital of New York.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Albany. Yeah, I mean, but there's got to be other Albany's, right? Anyways,
Albany, Georgia.
There's an Albany,
like,
Georgia.
think Albany is going on the road to travel to Hawaii. They're literally traveling like 50 hours.
That's got to be like almost as far.
That's like as far. I think that is as far as you can possibly go.
We have to lay the points with Hawaii, don't we? They're going to be pissed off. They're 0-2, two games they probably could have won.
I mean, I don't see a spread, but I'll do it. Especially at midnight, especially at 11:59. If
it'll come live at some point.
I need to get a text from you, Larson, because I'll probably be a few too many drinks deep by that point. But I need to hear you say, "Hey, Hawaii," and I'll be like, "Oh, yes, sir." Hawaii.
Hey, by the way, Chase, I don't know if you said you got USC at, but I see him at 69.5. I like that even more.
Yeah, I think I saw it at 70.5, but whatever. If it lands on 70, I'll just give myself a split.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, guys. That wraps up our show. We will be back next week, and hopefully we do better than week 1.
Hell yeah.